hope this aspect of plagiarism and how to avoid it has been already introduced in your class, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So I will not go very deep into the theoretical side of it. As the presentation requires, I have just briefly introduced the topic of plagiarism and plagiarism issues. Then we will move on to the plagiarism detecting tools in detail, and then we will quickly look at some tips for you to avoid plagiarism. As students, as research scholars, these are the avenues of publication which you will be handling on a day-to-day basis on both sides, or as authors as well as users. It will include any of these types of publications, journal articles or books or book chapters or working papers, occasional papers, blogs, or even multimedia sources, videos or podcasts. Then, of course, you are working on your dissertations and theses. Then there will be reports, commentaries. All these publications have to be handled by a researcher. And of course, as a scholar, you will be required to come out with these publications also. And ethics is very fundamental to education, research, and publishing. And academics should remember that it is a dishonest practice to steal from other person's publications. So always remember to acknowledge others, give proper attributions by citation and by references. The academic ethics demands that you should be very transparent in your work of research and studies. When authors use external words or expressions or data or even images and claim it as their own, it is construed as plagiarism. That is, in simple definition, what is plagiarism. However, in our day-to-day life, we could see, as part of your research work, there are umpteen number of specific instances where plagiarism might take place, may not be very deliberately. By accident also it can happen. And I have listed out a few of those instances which mostly are faced by research scholars. One is copying a large portion of material from an external source. Let us assume you are working on a journal article of 2000 words and you have 10 references and you take 100 words each from each of these articles and use it in your journal article. So what happens in terms of percentages? It is 1000 words altogether. That is 50% of your publication is from external sources, right? That should be ideally avoided. Copying a large portion from an external source, even from an individual source or from different sources taken together, is also not acceptable. That is one instance which we see on a day-to-day basis that happens in research publications, where scholars or students or even authors, seasoned authors also sometimes fail in this matter, that you have 200 references and you pick 25 words each also. It amounts to quite a large number of portion of your publication is from external source. Sometimes there is other way also it can happen. Like you take materials from outside, from external sources, you take words, even you take it as quotations, but you fail to put quotation marks or some sort of an indentation, right? Then what happens is that for a reader, when they read through your publication or when they read through your thesis, when they come to this specific portion, they will get a feeling that this is your own original idea and your own original contribution. However, it is not so, unfortunately, because you have taken this quotation from an external source. So, any external material that you use in your publication has to be specifically visually shown as separate. The best option is to put it in quotation marks, double quotation marks, where you open the quote, give the words, and then close the quotation, so that the reader would definitely understand that this portion is from an external source. Certain other types of publications would ask the author to put it in indentation also, where you have the stretched form of your text, where this portion will be in a slightly smaller area, right? Then also we would see that the reader will definitely understand that this is from a different source, because visually itself that difference is there. Failing to use quotation mark or any such visual differentiations is also considered as a plagiarism. Can happen accidentally also. So as scholars, we all should remember that whenever we take an external material, immediately we should put it within a quotation mark. Then what happens is scholars, students might miss out on giving citations and references. You take an idea as expressed by another seasoned author to give weight to your argument, to say that so and so has said like this. However, you might miss the citation. That should never happen. Any external material that you take should be immediately followed by the citation of that source. Citations can come in different ways, which I'm sure all of you have already learned by now. It can be either a author, the last name of the author followed by the year of the publication, put it inside a bracket, or it can be a numerical order citation where you will just put the number in serial order also. It can be in both ways. That will be decided by your the type of publication and the publisher with whom you are going to publish it, or by the policies of your university if it is a thesis or a dissertation. So let us keep aside the citation style aspects for now. What you should remember essentially is that you should never miss out citations, and you should never miss out the references also. When you have given a citation within the text, at the end of that publication, the detailed reference of that citation should be there. Let us say you have cited 10 sources, then reference list also should contain 10 entries. It should not happen in either way, that you have missed out a citation but you have given it the detailed reference, or that you have given 10 citations but you have given only the details of 9 references. That should not happen in either way. It should always go hand in hand, that wherever you have cited, its detailed reference should be provided. So otherwise, again, that is also considered as a plagiarism issue. This again may not happen deliberately, by mistake, or see, you are working on a thesis for 3 or 4 years, and over a period of time when you start writing, it can happen that you might miss out on either a citation or a reference. So you have to be extremely careful always about this matter. If you are finding it manually very difficult, you can use several reference management softwares are there, like Zotero or Mendeley, which are free to download and install and use. You can learn it very quickly. You just spend 1 hour, you can download and learn how to use it and start using it very efficiently. And these softwares are free to download and use. You can install it. It's a very small software. You can install it in your machine and use it very comfortably. And it's a lifetime in application, that once you start using, all your references will be in a single place, and there are facilities for you in these software applications to add your comments or notes, so that along with the detailed reference of each material, the same quotations or your own commentaries or your own notes about that publication also can be in a single place, so that if at all you lose the full text of that material also, your basic material required for your work would be always with you. So you can always consider using one such reference management software. Then copying and changing words here and there. This also sometimes happen, that you pick up a large portion of material from an external source and paste it in your publication, and then what happens, every third word you right click and go to synonyms and change the word also. This is also not acceptable. What the ethics of publishing in academic requires is that you should do a very thorough literature search. Then whatever material you find as useful for your work, you should read it very carefully. You should understand those ideas and write it in your own words, in your own original language writing style. If quotations are required from that, you can quote as little words as possible. However, copying a large portion and changing every alternate word or every third word and trying to bypass the system will also lead to problems later on, because there are software tools these days available which can actually catch all that malpractice, which we will come to in a bit. And there is the aspect called plagiarism by yourself, which is called either auto plagiarism or self plagiarism. This issue also can happen, that you are working on a journal article. So the easiest solution for you, which you find that you are short of time and you have to submit it next week. So what you do is that you find you have actually submitted an assignment of the same topic. So what you do is you just pick up that Word file, then make some cosmetic changes and editing there, here and there, and then pass it off as a new publication, without saying that this is already submitted as a working paper or already submitted for valuation as an assignment. You just conceal that previous history of this publication and pass it off as a new publication. That is also not allowed. Another type of self-plagiarism what we have experienced is that during your course of your research work, you are expected to publish 1 or 2 journal articles depending upon the university's policies. And what you do is that you pick up that whole article and use it within your thesis itself. That is also not allowed. If you are using those concepts and those, of course, it is your own ideas. You can say that it is your own original ideas and your own words. That is fine. It is accepted also. But the publishing sector in academia demands that each and every publication should be unique. It's not as though only the author counts. No, it is not actually that. Each publication counts to be a unique publication. So your own published work or unpublished work which you have submitted earlier should not be used for your next work. That is also not allowed. So these are quickly some instances which we see on a day-to-day basis which should be avoided. And technology has come up in a very big way these days, and there are software tools now which are available which can actually trace out and find whether there is a similarity between the documents and sources and the publication that we have submitted. There are two types of tools that are recently available. One is commercial based tools, which are paid commercial tools, which we need to pay money and buy, or we need to pay subscription and access it as and when required. Two of such software tools for checking plagiarism are, one is Turnitin and second is Urkund. These two are used by universities and research institutions. They are provided by the funding agencies. In India, UGC provides access to Urkund software to all the universities and affiliated institutions for checking plagiarism of theses and dissertations. And all these access are provided to the librarians in different universities. While in specific case of Jawaharlal Nehru University, they give us access to Turnitin software also. So these two are extremely good applications. These are softwares which work on the principle called similarity checking. To explain this further, these software tools have a backend large database of all published materials in a single searchable database, against which it will check the document which we will submit to them for checking. So when we upload a document, it is compared against this database and a report is generated which will show the percentage of materials. Let me show you one such report. See, this is the first page of a checking originality report from Turnitin application. We have uploaded a paper. You can see how many words are there. It will show the word count, how many words are there, and what is the date and what is the time in which it was done. Name, of course, I have blocked for the time being for confidentiality, that's all. It will show the name of the file and name of the document, the person's name also. And it will show what is the percentage of similarity of this document which system has compared. And it will show a detailed list of where these matches were found. 4% match from this document, 3% from this document, 2% from this, etc., etc. There are multiple pages for this, so you can see below also. If you scroll down on this, it will show different listings actually. So like this, it will generate a detailed similarity report, and this report is passed on to the author or the scholar concerned, and the scholar is asked to revise the paper to avoid this. Urkund also works on the same principle. While these are handled by the university staff or teachers, As scholars, you can also make use of free plagiarism checking applications. These are free tools which are available on the internet. You can access them directly. It's, however, only for personal use. One drawback is that these are not very authoritative, just like Turnitin or Urkunt or other commercial tools, since these are developed by not that similar applications. It's not very authoritative in that sense. The percentage of similarity might differ if you compare the same document in a free software and in a commercial software. So you should use this only for a guidance. You can't be 100% sure that if a free software says your document is free from plagiarism, then if you run it on a commercial tool, it might show the same result. May not be possible. It might show a different result also. However, it will give you some sort of an indication that whether a plagiarism has happened or not. That would be very useful for you. But the features wise, these free softwares have less features when compared to a commercial software. There are word limitations, like word limitations in this sense, you can check maybe maximum up to 1,000 words or up to 2,000 words at a time. So as and when you write your thesis, as and when you finish writing one paragraph or two paragraphs, you can actually check for plagiarism using these free softwares, so that you can, on the go, whenever you work, you can immediately clear your accidental plagiarism issues also using free softwares. At the end of your research, when you submit your thesis, of course, your thesis will be checked by your supervisor and by the librarian concerned for plagiarism using a commercial software which is provided by the institution. While if you are submitting your journal article for publishing and all, each journal has their own editorial policy for checking plagiarism. They will be using their own tools, might be a free tool or might be a commercial tool also. And what is the percentage of plagiarism, or rather what is the percentage of similarity allowed by journals, differs from journal to journal or from publisher to publisher also. We can't comment on that now. In the case of thesis and dissertation submitted in universities in India, they are governed by the UGC Act of 2018. I will be giving you the full text of this act. All of you are required to read this act complete. It's just about 6 pages, not very difficult to read. You can read it and understand it thoroughly. And it is very essential that you should know what is the limit of plagiarism or limit of similarity check accepted for thesis and dissertations in universities in India. That is clearly listed out in this particular document. So it shows what are the points which are excluded, what are the areas that are included for checking plagiarism, etc., etc. Of course, one argument is that when you write, there are minimum words which you will have to take from an external source, as we all discussed about it, right? And when you take it and use it in your materials, invariably some material will be from external source. And UGC says that up to 10% of your thesis can be from external sources. And for writing, you can see up to 14 words. Let us say that is more than sufficient for you for building up an argument, to say that when you give attribution to an external person, when you say that according to this person, poverty is described like this, and you put a quotation. So in that sense also, as I said, you should try to limit external materials within that. Consecutively, you should not quote beyond 10 words or 11 words, so that you will always be within that limit. Understand? Okay. So this is on the aspect of plagiarism and similarity within your thesis and dissertations as allowed by UGC by their regulations of 2018. This is a screenshot of Turnitin software. This is a commercial paid software, and it comes with a login ID and password which is provided by the university's administrators, and your teachers or your librarian will log in and they will upload your thesis in a single document, in a single Word document, and it will provide a report like this, which will show what is the details of where are the similarities found, what percentage of this uploaded document is having similarity with the Turnitin database, etc. Urkund also works on the same principle of similarity. Here also it works like there is a login ID and password with which access is limited. Then when the document is uploaded, system creates a report of similarity and provides it for a reference. So it works on the same method. While for scholars, for your personal use, as I said, just for indication or providing guidance to see whether accidental plagiarism should not happen, you can use a large number of free open source plagiarism checking softwares are there. You can see some of them I have listed here. CopyLeaks is there, then Dupli Checker, then Plagiarism Checker is by Grammarly, which is a very good application. Then Pre-Post SEO's Plagiarism Checker is there. Then Viper is another free open source application. Having said that, these are free. It comes with some difficulties in the sense you can't check your entire PhD thesis in this applications because there is a limit of words at a single checking. So it might allow you to check up to 1,000 words, or some softwares allow up to 2,000 words. And once you have done the check and once the result is given, then you can check the next set of words. So like that, and that too on a single given day in a single login also, there might be limitations of using it. So best option of using such plagiarism checking applications is that you can use it on the go. Whenever you are working on something, whenever you are writing a paper, as and when you finish one section, you can check for plagiarism to see whether accidentally you have not done something wrong, you have not pulled up data or quotation from somewhere else and used it or anything like that. So that you can remember by using these free applications, so that later on difficulties can be avoided. There are some quick ways in which you can actually avoid plagiarism issues altogether. That is by doing a thorough literature search and in-depth reading. That is what is expected from a scholar, that wherever in a maximum way possible, you should do literature search using Google Scholar, using different journal databases, using other online data sets, using library catalogs of larger libraries in the same area, etc., and gathering the materials which you find will be useful for your research and reading them in depth very seriously and try to understand them in very detail as much as possible. And next step is copy from these external sources as little as possible. If 5 words are sufficient for the building up that particular argument which you are building up using an XYZ source, but just use those 5 words itself. that paragraph would be 25 words. There is no need for that. If 5 words is sufficient to convey the meaning, use those 5 words. Maybe possible that you might require to use 7 words, then use those 7 words. So try to limit the words from external sources as little as possible. And always use quotation marks for all external sources. That is, invariably you should make it a habit that any material you use from outside, put it immediately within quotation marks, so that even in a single visual glance itself, a reader would understand that this is an external material. So even there won't be even a bit of doubt in the reader's mind that from which source it has been taken. And always remember to give proper citation and referencing for all external sources. That also invariably should become a habit. Any material you take from outside, you put a quotation mark, you close the quotation, then immediately you give the citations. And remember to give the detailed reference of it at the end of your document also. Even if you are writing, you are attributing it instead of giving a direct quotation also, you are only attributing it to an external person with your own ideas also. Please remember to give proper citation. It is not that citation is required only when you give direct quotations. No, it is not like that. Wherever you are using external ideas in your own words also, you should remember to give proper citation and referencing. And as we discussed earlier, citation and referencing go hand in hand. You should not miss either. It should not happen that there are 9 citations and there are 10 references, or that there are 10 citations and 9 references. Such mismatches should not happen. So you should be extremely careful about it. And develop your own writing style, your own original writing style. It will be very difficult in the beginning, but don't give up. Keep on writing so that over a period of time, you will improve your writing style and adhere to it and improve upon it, so that you need not actually depend on an external word or external material for developing your argument. You can always understand, learn from other sources, and write in your own words itself. And wherever required, use a free open source plagiarism checker also. Right? So thank you so much.